another room.
Okay, go grab it quickly. Alright, I will be using problems from the homework in today's lecture. So, take note. Simple equations with negative numbers. So the better your notes are, the easier your homework will be, because you may get to a problem and realize, hey, we did that one in the notes, and I can just look at my notes to find the answer. Alright. Start off with just kind of a review. Not every problem will be from the homework, but some of them. So let's say x plus 2 equals 7. How do we solve that? So we have
2 from 2.
Very good. We have plus 2. The opposite of that is minus 2. We subtract 2 from both sides. X plus 2 minus 2 is just x. 7 minus 2 is 5. So x equals 5. We could check that by saying 5 plus 2 equals 7, which is true. Alright, what if I had a negative number? X minus 6 equals 27. Opposite of minus 6?
Addition. So
Plus 6.
add 6 and then add 6 to
Add
27.
6 to both sides. X minus 6 plus 6 is just x. 27 plus 6 is
33.
33. Okay, we can check that. That's what we think our answer is. Instead of x, I'm going to write 33 minus 6 equals 27. Let's see, 33, 32, 31, 30, 29, 28, 27. That's true. I would also encourage you to check these with a calculator when you're doing your homework. Just plug it back in and use a calculator and say 33 minus 6. That's what I was going to see what you get. Alright, let's say I had 4x equals 7. 4x equals 7. What's the opposite of, well, first of all, 4x means
Times.
4 times x. What's the opposite of times?
Division.
And we're going to write our division like this. 4x divided by 4 is just x. 7 divided by 4, we would just write that as a fraction. 7/4. Okay? And that's a totally acceptable answer. It doesn't have to be an integer. So now let's say we have 4 times, I'm going to check my work. 4 times x, which is 7/4, equals 7. That was my original problem, right? 4 times 7 divided by 4. What is that? Times 7 divided by 4. You may see it better if you write this as 4/1 times 7/4. Did I change that? Is 4 really the same as 4/1?
Yes.
Yeah, 4 and 4/1 are the same. Now I can see two ways of doing this. Either I could do 4 times 7, which is 28 over 4, and 28 over 4 is 7. Or I might see in this problem here a way of upstairs, downstairs canceling, right? So I see a 4 here upstairs and a 4 here downstairs, and I cancel those.
And they become 1.
So then I just have 1 times 7 divided by 1 divided by 1, which is just 7. So yes, this is true. But this is a little harder to check because we're using fractions, right? But you guys can do this problem. 4/1 times 7/4, and you would all get 7 if you do. Okay. So x equals 7/4 in that problem. What if I have a fraction in front of x? 1/2 x equals -2.
You divide 1/2 by 1/2.
Okay, I could divide by 1/2. There's an easier way of thinking about this. I'm just going to multiply by 2 over 1, right? By 2. That's going to clear off my 1/2. And then I multiply over here times 2 over 1. So 2 over 1 times 1/2 x is just x. Negative 2 times 2 over 1. Do I really need the over 1 here? No. So negative 2 times 2 is negative 4. Let's see if that checks. 1/2 times negative 4 equals negative 2. So again, let's think about this as negative 4 over 1. We're multiplying. We have 1/2 times negative 4 over 1. That's the same thing as negative 4 over 2. Does negative 4 over 2 equal negative 2? Is that true?
Yes.
Yeah. So, if we see plus 2, we subtract 2 to get rid of it. If we see minus 6, we add 6 to get rid of it. If we see 4x, we divide by 4 to get rid of it. If we see 1/2, or if we saw x over 2, we multiply times 2 to get rid of that 1/2. So those are our 4 different operations. Right? If it says plus, we subtract. If it says minus, we add. If it says 4x, we divide to get rid of that. And if we have this fraction here, if we have x divided by 2, we multiply to get rid of that. Right? Multiplying times the reciprocal. So, your homework tonight is the same stuff. This is review, but the numbers are going to be a little tricky. So here's an example. What if I had x plus 10 equals 2? How do I get rid of that 10? Yeah. Subtract 10. And if I subtract 10 on this side,
Do it to the other side.
I have to subtract 10 on this side. X plus 10 minus 10 is x. This is what I meant by a little trickier. What is 2 minus 10?
8.
Very, very close. So
Negative.
we know that 10 minus, 18. 10 minus 2 is 8. The difference between these numbers is 8. But in this case, the larger number is the negative.
So it's negative.
So it's a negative 8. And I would really encourage you to do stuff over on the side. Use a number line, right, to try to figure out these tricky problems. 2 minus 10. I don't want you to use a calculator, but you can use a calculator to check your work. Okay? And I would really encourage you to do that. So try 2 minus 10, whichever strategy, which we talked about already, whichever strategy you use, and then do a calculator, 2 minus 10, to check to see if you got it correct. Okay? All right, how about if I had this one? X minus 44 equals negative 12. How do I get rid of that minus 44? Yeah.
Add 44 and then.
Add 44 to both sides.
And then and then it's a positive. This
Now we have x. Yeah, I can already see my answer is going to be positive because I have a smaller negative number plus a larger number. Okay. But I have opposite signs. So I know I'm going to subtract these. What is the difference between 44 and 12? So I would write out over here 44 minus 12. That's 32. And then I would remember, okay, positive, so it's positive 32. And then you could try it in a calculator, typing in negative 12 plus 44, and it would also give you 32. Alright, what if I have one like this? Negative 5x equals 100.
Yeah.
How do I get rid of this negative 5?
You, addition.
Divide by 5. So I have to remember that negative 5x means negative 5 times x. I'm not worried about the negative. Okay? What I'm worried about is what's between the 5 and the x. Sometimes people see this and they go, oh, minus 5, the opposite of that is plus 5. But what I really want to do is get x alone. So if I have negative 5 times x, I have to divide by negative 5 to get x all alone. Okay, make sure this goes in your notes exactly like this. You may even want to write what I'm saying in your notes. And then over here we have 100 divided by negative 5. So 100 divided by 5 is 20. A positive divided by a negative is a negative. Let's check that. Let's just see, does this actually really work? Is negative 5 times negative 20 really going to equal 100? So I have a negative times a negative,
Positive.
which is a positive, okay? So that's looking good. 5 times 20, that is 100. So this really does work. This process really is giving us the correct answers. Okay, let's do one more. This one's going to have a fraction.
That was weird.
A fraction. Okay, 1/5 x equals negative 3. How do I get rid of 1/5? I multiply times 5 over 1. If I do that on this side, I have to do it on this side. Over here, this all cancels and I just have x. Over here I have negative 3 times 5 over 1, which I can sort of ignore. So I have negative times a positive is a negative. 3 times 5 is 15. So negative 15 over 1, which is just negative 15. You can think of this, if it helps you, as negative 3 over 1 times 5 over 1. It's whatever strategy you learned for multiplying fractions. And let's do one more. Negative 1/11 x equals negative 11. How am I going to get rid of this negative 1/11? I'm going to put the negative in front.
You divide by, or you multiply by 11 over 1.
Okay, does everyone agree with that? Multiply times 11. I agree with it, but there's one more thing that I need to get rid of here. This will get rid of the 11. I also have to get rid of this negative, right?
So it's positive, you multiply with positive.
So I multiply times a negative, because a negative times a negative
It's positive.
will leave me with a positive x. And then over here I have negative 11 times negative 11 over 1. That's my times, that's my negative. So I really have negative 11 times negative 11. I'm going to ignore the over 1 on this side, because it doesn't change anything. Negative 11 over 1 is negative 11, and it makes this problem seem a little easier. What's a negative times a negative?
Positive.
Positive. What's 11 times 11?
122. 21.
121. And that is my final answer. Okay?